Hey there, Internet. Today we're going to be talking about how to build your very own custom web page and also how to host it. So in part 2, we're going to be talking about how to actually make the web page, but in part 1, we're going to talk about how to install the programs that will allow you to host it. And again, before you make the file, you should probably have a way to host it. So for this particular example, we're going to be using Apache version 2 running on Linux Mint. Now again, Apache can run on Windows, and I believe it can also run on Mac. But if you do decide to run this on a Windows or a Mac machine, some of the commands and some of the locations and files may vary. So now that we know all the intro stuff, let's begin. So for starters, we're going to have to install Apache 2. So it's sudo apt-get install apache 2. Again, it's Apache version 2. So it'll run through. Now, because I've already installed it, it's going to say that it's the latest version and it's already installed. But again, if you haven't, it'll run through and do all the processes to allow you to install it. Now, there's also there's one other program I would recommend installing, and this is the firewall for Linux. So to do this, it is the command sudo apt-get install, and it is the abbreviation for Graphical User Firewall, or GUFW. Now again, if you're not using a copy of Linux with a graphic environment, you can just install the user firewall, but we're going to install the graphical version, which in addition to will install the user firewall. So again, followed by your enter. And again, it's going to say that I already have it installed, it's the latest version, and if you haven't already installed it, it'll run through the process. So now that we have the program installed, now we have to test it. So I have a web page here, and we can go back to the loopback address for your system. Now again, this is the same across just about any computer, which is 127.0.0.1. And then you'll see, here is our web page. Now, this is the default web page for the Apache setup, and in just a minute, we'll show you how you can change this. But with this, you can also access it from not only our loopback address, but our personal internal network address. Now we can find this by doing if config, and this will spell it out. Now again, it'll vary. I'm running this on my laptop, so of course I'm using Wi-Fi to connect to my home router. So it's going to be the WLP3S0. If you're running on Ethernet, it'll be this ENP2S0. And then if we go down to the section that I'm using, you'll see that right here is my internal IP address. Now you can't do Control-C, so you're going to have to right-click and copy it, and we can plug it right into our browser. We'll do paste and go, and you'll see that it takes us to this page 2. Now, what you can do is you can take this number, and again, this number will vary depending on how your home network is set up, and plug it into different computers within your home network. So if you're running this on your laptop, you can run over to your desktop and plug in this number, and you can do vice versa. But before you're able to do that, there's one small thing we need to do. Earlier I talked about installing the graphic user firewall. we have to add a rule so that it will allow Apache to go out onto the network and to receive communications in. So there's two commands for this. It is sudo ufw, user firewall, allow apache, or allow Apache. Now again, it's going to say that the existing rule, that there's already an existing rule, and it will do also for v6 or IPv6 version 6, and this is 4. Now, if you already haven't done this, again, I've done that, so that's why it's saying this. If you haven't done this, it'll say adding new rule. Now, the second one that you need to add is sudo ufw allow single quote Apache space full. And when you tell it to run that command, it'll add the rules. And again, because I have already added these rules into my firewall, it'll say existing rule and it will skip it. Now what you can do is you can take your internal IP address of the computer that's hosting the web page on your network, and you can go to a different computer and you can plug that number in, and it should bring up this web page here. So that's all well and good, but what if you don't want to use the default Apache page? Well, located in a specific folder in the var folder of your system, of your Linux system, is the actual web page that this works for. So to access it, we're going to be using the Nemo folder browser that comes with Linux Mint. Now again, if you're using a different version of Linux, maybe it's full-blown Ubuntu, maybe it's OpenSUSE, whatever it may be, your folder and file explorer will be different. And you can go to help, about, and it will tell you what your folder explorer is. So I'm using Nemo, so we're going to do sudo Nemo, and this will basically open up a folder window with administrative privileges so we can go in and access these system configuration files. Because again, this is located, the HTML file for this is located in the var folder, which is a Linux system folder. So we're going to run that, and there's our window. Now again, you would replace Nemo with whatever folder and file explorer you have on your particular computer. And you can even see that it says elevated privileges here. Now again, you can also use the terminal, but for this, I find it easiest to just use the graphical folder explorer here. So we're going to go to var www html, and there you go. Now you'll see this index.html, and you'll see this index.inx-debian.html. Now I've already added my two HTMLs that I wanted to do, but this index.html here is this web page that you're viewing. So you can delete it, you can rename it. For this instance, I'm always prefer to rename, so I'm going to name it index.html.old, and that'll move it over here. And I'm going to then rename the file that I've already created, index.html. So there's also a couple different ways that you can do this. You can either delete this index.html and create a new one. You can name it old and then create a new index.html like what I did, or you can just go directly into this file and re-edit it either with a text editor or something like brackets, which is an HTML editor. Now, if we go back to it and we hit F5 or refresh the page, you'll see that it changed. Now, for this, I just did a basic 5-second web page with, some H tags and an A link reference. So again, what we can do is we can even test the link here, and we can go back. And you'll even see that up here it changes from index.html to link.html. And again, I threw in a link HTML page right here. So that is the basics of setting up Apache. Now again, you might notice that you will not be able to access this web page, one, when you're outside of your home network. So if you connect to, if you're on a smartphone and you connect to mobile data, you can't get this maybe at your school computer or your work computer. Now again, that deals with port forwarding, and in a future video we will be dealing with this. I'll probably end up putting a link to not only the second part that explains how to edit the HTML, but a part that probably will talk a little bit more about how to do port forwarding on your router, port triggering, and some of the technical complications that you might run into with doing that. And again, I will try and put the little cue cards up here in the top right corner, and I will definitely put links down in the description. So there we go, YouTube. I thank you for watching. I hope that you not only enjoyed this video, but you learned something pretty cool too. And again, in part 2, we'll be talking about how to actually edit a web page and to use something like brackets or a text editor and some basic HTML commands. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thanks for watching. If you like this video, you can always definitely thumbs up and subscribe. Always helps the channel. I would also recommend checking out my channel page because we do a bunch of cool sciencey, computer, and other technical videos. And sometimes I'll just even throw some other just informational and interesting videos up there, maybe about audio equipment or other random technology stuff. So, once again, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.